Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our April Creatio online user group. As I'm sure many of you have heard, Creatio had a really big release recently, their Atlas 8 release. It offered some really interesting and cool new features in the solution, and that's what we're going to talk about today. What's that all about? What does that mean for the future of the product, and how can you prepare to take advantage of those new features? So my name is Deneen Madura. I'm the Director of Marketing, and I will be hanging out in the background here if you have any technical issues or if any questions come up and you want to pop those in the chat or the Q&A. I'll make sure that our co-hosts Megan and Anjum see them. Megan and Anjum are going to drive this presentation and talk about these concepts with you. Megan is our Director of Project Management and Anjum is our Business Analyst. So I will let these ladies do their thing.
Well, hi, everyone. So the major enhancements in the Atlas 8.0 release is the Application Hub and the Freedom Page Designer. The Application Hub is essentially a library of your applications and your company's cloud and trial environments. You can switch between environments without logging in each time. Another feature of the Application Hub is that you can invite team members to collaborate with your new applications. At this time, invitations can only be sent to users who currently do not have a login to Creatio. The user types are administrator and developer. So administrators have full access to all the company environments and permission to manage them completely. And developers have full access to the development and testing environments. When creating an application in the Application Hub, the Freedom Page Designer gives you the ability to completely customize your application. The new app that you create already contains a set of components based on the selected template styles, but you can configure the app further using a variety of layouts, components, and inputs to customize the application. You can create dashboards, lists, record pages that have a minimum set of components, and then configure that further in the no-code designer. So let's move over to Creatio 8.0 and take a look at these new features. So you'll see the Creatio homepage when you log in as usual. The new Application Hub is in the settings gear icon, and you'll see that selection added there. So let's go to Application Hub. So when you're in the Application Hub, you can select, and here's a library of the different applications that are in your instance. You can select an existing application and make changes to existing pages or create new pages. So to create an existing one, you can create a new page or edit the existing pages, edit the existing sections, or add a new section. The other elements like data model, business processes, integrations, these are all existing functionality, which are being used as part of the new tool. So we'll focus on creating new pages and new sections for the purposes of this demo. So let's create a new application here. So there are templates provided for you with pre-configured settings that you can customize. Here you can create dashboards. You can select from a list of ready-to-go apps from the marketplace. You can install a pre-made app from a file or customize a new application completely from scratch. So we'll select a template. So you can add a name for your template. Anything you like for this demo, we'll call it sales requests. Add a description of what this application is doing. Manage new sales requests. You can customize it by adding any icon. changing the color. We'll add a little springy color, hopes of getting to spring soon. While that's loading, I'll show you where you can select from the different environments. So this would show your company's trial environments and any other environments you've created applications in. And you can switch between those just by clicking through. So here we'll start with a list page. So on the list page, there'll be a title header that you can rename. You can add buttons here for inputs. There's a folder section that you can add folders to, and of course the data form where you can add the fields that would show the data in that list. So we'll add a new button here. You can configure the actions for these buttons here. Actions could be something like running a process, opening a new record or existing record, opening a specific page, save data, cancel, or close the page. So we'll select this as save and that button to save. You can create another button to maybe open a new record. So we can call this new sales request. Select what this would open. You can have that open new contract. We can add icons to the buttons. Position where we want to see that icon. Just configure it just exactly how you want it to look. We can add more fields here by selecting from the available fields. We can add, there's a new feature here where we can pin the column or hide it so it's hidden from the user view, and update that column layout so we can see the fields. Okay, let's save this list page here. And we'll go ahead and create a new form page. There's more flexibility in creating the form page. We're looking at a specific record. We can add some charts and tabs according to that record rather than on the list page. So on the left, there are pre-configured layouts you can update here. So we can add additional text fields here. Maybe include this as customer data. We'll add a few fields, specify whether those would be required, position of the field, whether it's multi-line, etc. can name this list a customer data grid. There's options to customize this by adding colors to make it more brighter, visually appealing. We can add some maybe a checkbox here to indicate this is a new customer. Add a color there. This layout, we can add some charts. Maybe a sales pipeline based on this customer record. We can customize a chart as well to show just the data that you want to look at when you're opening that record. So we call this monthly sales. We can pull this from the accounts object here. There's a selection of the chart types that visually you can see what that would look like. So we'll go ahead with the column chart. We'll group that by account. Let's see. So we'll pull a, we'll group this by created on date. And the format, we can select, for example, month and year. There, that's better. And then save this chart for our form page. You can also customize the view of the data here. So you can add the number of tabs we'd like to see on the form page. We can add a detail area for each tab. Fields, columns, it's pretty much just add exactly the data you'd like to see and customize it to look the way you'd want it to look. Maybe we can add a few tabs here, like contracts. Add additional tabs here. Add the detail to show. Call this and this is fully, you can select the style of the caret you want to select here, the position of the button, the title, the color of the font. So as you can see, there's a lot of customizations available here. So let's go ahead and save this. So once that's saved, when we go back to our instance, there is a, you'll see a My Applications in the section selector. So we'll see some of the pages we created here. So here's our list page that we created. There's the new sales request button that is going to open to a new contract page. And the new form page we created right here. So, and you can make these changes within the application hub and then go back and run the app and view it in real time, how those changes were, how they look when they're finally designed, make updates to it and run it. So um, there's a lot of flexibility with this new feature. And we'll go into we'll go back to Megan for a little bit about the rollout plan on this enhancement.
Thanks, Anjum, for the demo. So I guess where I want to start with kind of the what does this all mean analysis here at the end is Creatio is taking a really smart approach with this and following industry best practices by doing a pretty gradual rollout of these new features. So with version 8.0, they're taking these new tools that you saw Anjum using and getting them out into people's hands so that they can start having a wider audience testing than just their internal teams, and start getting more feedback on what's working well and what's not. Right now, I don't know how much you figured this out just from watching the demo, but there are some things that are available in Section Wizard that the no code page tool can't do yet. And so obviously that's something that Creatio is going to work on addressing. They need to make sure that the new tools can do everything that the old tools, the existing tools could do. So there's a lot that's really similar between the two tools, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. There are some new really cool functions in Application Hub and No Code Page Designer, but there's also still some gaps between the tools. And again, this is a very intentional approach. Rather than trying to bite off the entire set of functions that Section Wizard can do in one giant development effort, they're taking it slow. They're doing a gradual approach. And so that's really the next thing that they're going to be working towards is, first of all, addressing testing issues and feedback that they're getting from people, adding additional cool new functions, but also making sure that all of the existing functions are available within the new tools. And after that, they have another step that they have to do, which is to make sure that they have a conversion path for things that were built using Section Wizard to be able to work with them with the new Application Hub and No Code Page tools. So again, this is going to maybe feel a little slow and a little frustrating at times. It's really cool and exciting to see these great new features that Creatio is rolling out. But just remember, if you are a little frustrated by the slow path here, that this is absolutely the right approach for them to be using. I think it's really great to see them taking this smart approach, and to be doing this in a really intentional way to make sure that they're addressing feedback that they're getting from people and that they're building this in a way that won't negatively impact things that are already built in your system. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide and talk a little bit about what some of those differences are. So if I look at what you can do in Section Wizard and other kind of pre-existing tools versus what you can do with Application Hub and the No Code Page tool, some of the differences that jumped out at me. First of all, business rules are only available in Section Wizard right now. So if you're using business rules to apply any of that conditional logic to your pages, things like only show this field when X condition is true, or only show this field when Y condition is true, that functionality is not yet available with the new tools. Again, it will come, it will be there, but it's not there today. There's some minor differences, like the old run process button that you'd get if you linked a process to a section, that's available in Section Wizard. That's going to work a little bit different with the Application Hub. That's more comparable in terms of what you can do, but just a small difference. Some of the nice new features Creatio's added in the last couple of years, like the ability to quickly create new detail objects while you're designing a page. Again, not available right now in Application Hub, but I'm sure that will come. And, you know, again, you could work around that the same as you could in the old days with Creatio and Section Wizard, which is just create things in the right order, basically, and build your details first and then add them to your pages. But, you know, it's something that I've really appreciated as they've added that to Section Wizard in the last year or two. And so I'm hoping to see that get added into the no code tool in the coming days. And the list page, you saw Anjum do some of the new functions on the list page, things like adding buttons, which is great. Some of the base list page functions seem to be missing in version 8.0. Things like basic filtering, user set column layouts, summaries. You're not going to see that right now in a section that you build using Application Hub. Again, I'm sure that's going to come in time. It's just not something you're going to see right now if you're starting to use the new tools. On the other hand, Application Hub has a bunch of really cool new functions. At the top of the list, it's just way more flexible. You've got so much ability to customize what your pages look like. If you've ever felt like you're just, you know, like you don't like the way the Creatio page is organized, you wish you had the flexibility to move things around a little bit more. This absolutely gives you that freedom. You can add tabs or not have tabs. You can have that right-hand column or not have that left-hand column or not have that left-hand column. You can put buttons anywhere you want on the page, charts anywhere you want on the page. So there's just a ton of flexibility built into this. It's really easy to add buttons. It's really easy to add labels anywhere on the page. So again, just giving you that flexibility to really design the page the way you kind of have it in your head or the way you want it to look. They've also got new chart styles available, so that'll mirror the homepage functions that they've added in the last year, where you've got like the donut chart, for example, and some of those other chart types that you may not have with dashboards and Section Wizard right now. Creatio is going to continue to chip away at this list of things that Section Wizard can do in Application Hub and No Code Designer can't do. In fact, they just in the last couple of days posted release notes for the version 8.01 release, and they've already addressed at least one of these things. I know I saw the ability for users to set the column layout on list pages is included in that version. So they are very much aware of these differences. They're working to address them. Again, it's part of that intentional gradual rollout plan that there's currently these differences. Anjum, can you go ahead and go to the next slide? So right now, if you're using version 8.0, you've got these two separate tools to kind of work with, and there's currently no ability to cross over between them. If something is built in Application Hub or Freedom Designer, whatever you want to call it, it can only be modified in Application Hub. You can't build it in Application Hub and then go make more changes to it in Section Wizard. And vice versa. Anything that's been built in Section Wizard right now can only be modified in Section Wizard. You can't take something that you've already built and go modify it using Application Hub and the Freedom Designer. That does currently include any standard objects, so like accounts or opportunities or cases, and any objects that you've already built before the 8.0 release. Again, long term, that's going to change. Long term, they need to make a way to kind of port those over. Those things that were built in Section Wizard will ultimately be transitioned to being modified with Application Hub and the Freedom Designer. But before they work on that transition, they're working first on that feature parity of making sure that the new tools can do everything the old tools could do, because they can't transfer it over and then have you lose functionality, basically. So hopefully that makes sense. Right now, basically, you have the option to choose, you know, which tool do you want to use in a given situation, assuming you're building something new, or you're going to use the tool that was used to build that function. So if you're working with any of your standard objects or anything you've already built in Creatio, you're going to continue to use the existing tools like Section Wizard to work on those pages and those sections in the short term. All right, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So what does this all mean then? First of all, I would definitely recommend, if you haven't already tried out Application Hub and the Freedom Page Designer, go ahead and start playing with it. Either ask Creatio to upgrade your development sandbox environment, or sign up for a free trial on their website. That'll be the new version. So start to get comfortable with the functions and the tools that are available there, because that's how you can start thinking about how you might want to start using some of those new features as they become available. Again, you're probably not going to start using this on your existing pages and existing sections today, but in the next 6 to 12 months, probably, given the approximate timeline I've gotten from Creatio, those tools will start to become available for your existing sections. And so this gives you time to start mulling that over and start thinking about where it would make sense to use those, and where it may not. Maybe you don't want to go back and make major changes to, your accounts page because your users are really comfortable with it the way it is today, and that's okay. You don't have to. But if there are places where these new functions could really help fit some of your business needs or solve some problems that you have with the system today, this is your chance to start making those plans. If you are going to be building a new section, you have the choice right now to build it using Section Wizard or to build it using Application Hub. So you're going to want to weigh the pros and cons of each of those options and think about which one currently is going to give you the best fit. Again, this only applies if you're building something brand new right now. In the next relatively near-term future, everything will be built using Application Hub as they reach that feature parity. But until that feature parity is available, you've got to look at those differences and figure out which one's going to best fit your needs. If you don't need business rules, then great, go ahead and use the Application Hub and make a really cool looking page that's going to really get your users excited. However, if you need business rules, well, that's going to tell you right there that you're going to want to use Section Wizard to build that particular section right now. And then I think most importantly, just keep an eye on the release notes as new releases come out. Keep an eye on the emails that Creatio is sure to be sending you about news and new functions that they're adding, because I would definitely expect more updates throughout the coming year or so as they work through this gradual rollout. I don't know if the timeline has changed at all. The original timeline I heard from them when 8.0 was brand new was approximately a year to get through first feature parity and then the transition of existing objects to the new tools. I don't know if they're still tracking to that or whether that's taking them longer than they originally thought so far. It's encouraging to see version 8.01 come out with some of those feature parity items addressed, as well as some brand new features. They're adding some new functions like a slider tool and things like that. So definitely just keep an eye on that news. We'll be sure to share more with you as we have future user groups, of course, as well. But I think, that's where I'm seeing this right now. Is right now I probably would lean towards building something new in Section Wizard in probably 75 or 80% of cases. But I think that's going to change pretty quickly in the next couple of months. And so I think that that difference is going to start to slant more towards the favoring Application Hub in the fairly near future. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say on this one. So if there's any questions, feel free to send those our way. Otherwise, Deneen will wrap up for us.
Yeah, while we wait to see if anybody has any follow-up questions for Megan and Anjum, I'm sure you've received emails from Creatio, you've received emails from us, but in case somehow you're not aware, there is a No Code Days live conference at the end of May. It's being held here in Chicago by Creatio. It's totally free, which is really nice, and they have different tracks for different industries. I know specifically they're highlighting financial services, manufacturing, business services, public sector, life sciences, and telecom among them. We'll be there. A bunch of our team will be there, and they're going to be talking about what no code is looking like today, how it can be applied to your business better, how you can use a lot of these tools like we just showed you, to the maximum degree of effectiveness. So definitely something to check out. I'll include the registration link to that in the follow-up email to this if you want to take a look at that page and learn a little bit more about it. Currently, I did not see any questions coming in, ladies, so I think you did a pretty good job. And everybody who's on the call, as you will probably know if you've been to previous user groups with us, I will send this recording out to you. I'll probably clip it up for you a little bit and send out some shorter clips of the demo and some of the more important topics. And of course, if any questions come up, after the fact, all you have to do is reply to that email and I can route your question to Megan or Anjum and we can help you out. So thank you everybody for joining us today. We'll give you a half hour back in your day. Thank you, Anjum and Megan. And I hope everyone has a lovely spring.